Alright, so this is the final part of the How to Deadlift series, and we're actually going to play with the barbell now. So what we've got here is we're starting from the floor. Now the reason why I say that is because there is what's called a reverse deadlift that I often recommend for people who cannot deadlift properly. So there are multiple parts of this particular explanation. I'll start with the most basic, and I'll start from the floor up. Now obviously I don't have a cameraman today, so you're going to have to bear with me, but hopefully you can understand what I'm saying. I'm going to approach the bar with my feet about shoulder width apart, toes straight ahead. This is a conventional deadlift. Obviously there are sumo deadlifts, which I do recommend, especially for people who cannot activate their glutes. The sumo deadlift, and for taller athletes, the sumo deadlift is a better place to start. But if you have good, very good flexion capacity in your ankles, if you don't have too much muscular imbalances in your hips and knees, then you'll be fine with just a conventional deadlift where you will. I like to also use, now a lot of guys deadlift like barefoot, or they'll use like Chuck Taylors or flat shoes. I actually prefer those Olympic lifting shoes that raise your heels a little bit. And the reason why is because it forces a little bit more bend in the ankle, a little bit more bend in the knee to get my quads involved in the movement a little bit more. And I'll show you some of my other videos where you see I'll sort of drive the knees forward a little bit before I raise my ass and go into an actual deadlift. And I find that that just helps me get the weight off the floor a little faster. It's just a technique that I use. Everyone's built differently, and it may not necessarily be advantageous to you for you to do it that way. But, so that being said, feet shoulder width, toes straight ahead. Grab the bar. The bar should be pretty close to your body, actually. If you think about your feet, the bar should sort of be like in front of your, like between the middle of your, like basically the middle of your foot somewhat, from the start position. Hands, we're going to talk about this a little bit more when we talk about what's happening in the shoulders, but for today's sake, we can either do a alternating grip or an overhand grip. Grab it. Really important, if you notice where my hips are, my ass is not down on the ground like a trap bar deadlift. Like you'll see a lot of guys, they'll tell you to deadlift like that, you know, with their butt all the way to the ground. Not the best way to activate that lumbo-pelvic rhythm that I described earlier. We've got, the way I do it is you have a 20-degree bend in the knee to really activate the glutes and the hamstrings. So you notice the guys that drop down this far, they're also using a lot more quads, which, like I described earlier, sometimes I end up doing that when I'm going very, very heavy. But, probably confusing the crap out of you guys. But from here, you just want to push your feet into the ground and extend your knees, ankles, and hips at the same time. So, this is a very important cue that is very helpful for coaches trying to teach athletes, and if you're teaching yourself. When you're deadlifting, don't think about standing up. Think about pushing the ground away, pushing the ground down. That is a very good cue. Also, the next cue is to imagine that the top of your head is being pulled to the ceiling. So I'm pushing the ground down, right? My head's coming to the ceiling. Notice that I'm bending. A lot of glute, core, and hamstring activation when deadlifting that way. So that's deadlifting from the floor. Now, a lot of people who have really weak extension capacity in their shoulders and scapular adductors, coaches, you know what I'm talking about? You just cannot get them to show their chest off. Every time they go down, it looks like this. There's nothing you can do. You can't get them to fix that. So what you do is you start from the top of the movement. Have them start here. Notice that my palms are forward. Get them to show their chest off at the top. A lot of times, I've done videos about this. This is just a good exercise by itself. Just have them hold this position right here. In time, you'll notice that the shoulders start rounding out. That's because those muscles are weak. If you just get them to hold this bar with the palms up, just like this, it's going to be an incredible exercise. But from here, with the palms up, 20-degree bend in the knees. Start tipping forward, tip forward, tip forward till you get where the weight is over your base of support. And then right as it gets over your base of support, start sinking your hips. A lot of times what I allow them to do is to just pick up the weight however you want. I don't care. As long as it's light and they're not going to kill themselves. Pick up the weight and then we focus on the deadlift from the top down. Focusing on thoracic extension and that 20-degree bend in the knees. I can tell you what, just having an athlete or having yourself stand with the supinated grip, the shoulders down and back, so with the scapular adduction and the 20-degree bend in the knees, just standing with the bar in your hands in that position will activate and turn on so many muscles that are laying dormant during your deadlift. I would highly recommend, especially with younger athletes or yourself if you're a brand new deadlifter, or if you're an advanced deadlifter and you want to improve your quality of deadlift, just do dead holds. That's what we call them here, dead holds. Palms up and just hold that sucker. You'll feel it wanting to tug you over, you'll feel it wanting to rotate your hips forward, but you're just going to fight gravity by holding that sucker up, keeping a 20-degree bend in your knee. So I've done a hell of a lot of talking today. Hopefully these videos are very helpful for you guys. What I'd like you to do is, if this is in a blog post or if you're watching this on YouTube, send these videos. If I make it one long video, just send the one video out to everyone that you know who has no clue how to deadlift and needs to improve the quality of their movements in order to maximize their potential with this in my opinion, the greatest of all strength training exercises. Talk to you next time.